What separates the dreamers from the doers? John D. Rockefeller delivers a powerful message in Letter 4. It's not about how brilliantly you plan, but about how relentlessly you act. Prepare to have your perspective on ambition, procrastination, and the true engine of success completely recalibrated. We're often told to plan carefully, weigh all options, and wait for the right moment. But what if that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves? We are running out of time to achieve your goals, dreams, and potential. Prepare to question your comfort zone and embrace the power of doing it now. The stakes are high. Are you ready to choose doing over dreaming? Letter 4 commences with an emphasis on the enduring power of impactful words and the wisdom gleaned from insightful individuals. Rockefeller begins by acknowledging the profound influence of intellectual discourse, stating, "I have always retained a vivid recollection of the pronouncements made by individuals of keen intellect and experience." He then introduces a central tenet of his philosophy, attributing it to an unnamed sage. Education, while encompassing a broad spectrum of knowledge and understanding, remains inherently incomplete without the catalyst of decisive action. The knowledge is not enough, it must be applied. This opening statement serves to establish a core theme of the letter, the paramount importance of translating intellectual understanding into tangible results. Rockefeller underscores the limitations of purely theoretical knowledge, suggesting that even the most compelling and practical ideas remain dormant and ineffective without active implementation. This perspective aligns with pragmatic philosophies that prioritize practical outcomes and demonstrable effectiveness. He further elaborates on this point by contrasting the relative value of different approaches to planning and execution. "My firm belief has consistently been that the realization of opportunity rises from the active pursuit of further opportunity, and that even the most meticulously crafted ideas are inherently susceptible to flaws. Therefore, an adequately executed plan, even if initially perceived as commonplace, will invariably surpass a superior plan that is abandoned or left incomplete, due to the sustained effort and iterative improvement inherent in the former." This viewpoint reveals a preference for consistent progress, achieved through persistent action and refinement, over the pursuit of an elusive and potentially paralyzing perfection. It highlights the dynamic nature of success, which often emerges from a process of continuous adaptation and learning by doing. Rockefeller then distills this philosophy into a concise and memorable maxim. "Consequently, I maintain that there exists no singular, esoteric secret to achieving success." He clarifies that while innate talent or exceptional intellectual capabilities may undoubtedly contribute to individual achievement, they are not indispensable prerequisites. The decisive factor, in his estimation, lies in the individual's willingness to engage in purposeful and sustained action. He argues that the consistent application of effort serves as a powerful equalizer, diminishing the significance of inherent advantages and placing success within reach for those who are prepared to actively pursue their goals. He then transitions to a critique of individuals who, in his view, fail to embrace this action-oriented approach, often hindering their potential for success. He observes that a significant portion of the population appears to disregard this fundamental principle, leading to a state of mediocrity and unfulfilled potential. He characterizes the behavior of these individuals as passive, marked by a tendency to engage in excessive verbalization without commensurate action, or, in extreme cases, to remain entirely inactive. Furthermore, he notes their inclination towards rationalization in the construction of elaborate excuses to justify procrastination, ultimately culminating in the self-defeating demonstration that the intended action was either ill-advised, impossible, or untimely. Rockefeller sharply contrasts this perceived passivity with his own proactive and decisive approach to business and life. He references a favorable assessment made by an unnamed Mr. Gates, who described him as an individual characterized by dynamism and a predisposition towards spontaneous action, a description that Rockefeller readily affirms. He reiterates his aversion to unproductive discourse, stating, "I have always prioritized decisive and purposeful action over idle speculation, recognizing the inherent futility of words devoid of tangible outcomes, and the fundamental truth that nothing of substance is ever achieved through mere contemplation." He maintained that action is a prerequisite for success. "The fundamental truth that I have always known is that there are no results without action, and there is nothing in this world that can be obtained from thinking alone. As long as one has breath, they must consider taking action." Rockefeller continues his exploration of the dynamics of action and planning, emphasizing their interconnected yet distinct roles in achieving success. He begins by acknowledging a widely recognized truth, that the mere acquisition of knowledge, without its practical application, holds limited utility. This statement serves as a starting point for a deeper examination of the relationship between theory and practice, a theme that has resonated across various philosophical and educational traditions. He then introduces a concept he considers even more critical, however. A situation that presents an even greater impediment to progress is the possession of valuable knowledge and profound wisdom that remains dormant and inutilized due to a lack of decisive action. This observation underscores his belief that the failure to translate intellectual understanding into tangible outcomes represents a significant squandering of potential. In essence, he argues that inaction renders even the most brilliant insights impotent. Rockefeller then refines his perspective on the interplay between planning and action, advocating for a balanced and integrated approach. He states that effective planning and purposeful action should be conceived not as mutually exclusive alternatives, but rather as complementary and inseparable components of a unified process. This perspective suggests that a harmonious synergy between strategic thinking and practical execution is essential for optimal success. He cautions against the pitfalls of excessive and unproductive deliberation, stating that an overemphasis on meticulous planning, pursued to the detriment of timely action, ultimately results in a counterproductive dissipation of valuable time and resources. He highlights the danger of becoming ensnared in a cycle of perpetual preparation, where the pursuit of an ideal plan hinders the initiation of any concrete work. This concept is relevant to contemporary discussions on agile methodologies and lean startup principles, which often prioritize iterative development and continuous improvement over exhaustive upfront planning. Rockefeller then introduces a crucial element of pragmatism, acknowledging the inherent uncertainties and limitations of any predictive endeavor. While meticulous planning undoubtedly constitutes of a doable and necessary initial phase in any undertaking, it is imperative to recognize that no plan, regardless of its level of detail or comprehensiveness, can provide an absolute guarantee of future success or perfectly anticipate the complexities of the ultimate outcome. This statement reflects a realistic understanding of the dynamic and unpredictable nature of the business environment, particularly during the rapid industrialization of the Gilded Age. To further illustrate the necessity of action as a prerequisite for progress, Rockefeller employs a relatable analogy drawn from the game of golf. The progression through any endeavor, much like the successful completion of a golf course, is inherently sequential. One cannot effectively advance to subsequent stages without first successfully navigating the preceding ones. This analogy effectively conveys the idea that achieving larger goals necessitates a series of smaller, concrete actions, each building upon the previous one. He further asserted that action, in its various forms, serves as the ultimate catalyst, possessing the unique capacity to transform abstract potential into tangible reality. Without the impetus of action, even the most ambitious and well-conceived aspiration remain forever unrealized. However, he tempers this emphasis on action with a pragmatic recognition of risk, stating, while an absolute assurance of success is often unattainable, the most prudent and effective approach lies in committing oneself with unwavering determination and resolve to the diligent execution of one's chosen course of action. This statement underscores the importance of both proactive engagement and a commitment to perseverance in the face of uncertainty. Rockefeller continues his exploration of the factors that contribute to or hinder an individual's success, focusing on the crucial role of personal agency, the detrimental effects of passivity. He begins by addressing the pervasive human tendency to resist change and cling to the familiar, stating that a significant impediment to individual progress lies in the inclination towards inertia and the reluctance to deviate from established patterns of behavior. He characterizes this resistance as a pervasive habit, one that he considers both deceptive and ultimately self-destructive. His reasoning for this assessment is rooted in a philosophical understanding of the nature of existence. Rockefeller observes that the fundamental characteristic of the universe, and indeed of human existence itself, is its inherent dynamism and constant state of transformation. Just as life is characterized by birth, growth, and eventual mortality, the world around us is in a perpetual state of flux, where nothing remains static or immutable. This echoes the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who famously proclaimed that no man ever steps in the same river twice. Emphasizing the ever-changing nature of reality, Rockefeller argues that this inherent dynamism makes resistance to change not only futile but also detrimental to personal growth and adaptation. He attributes this resistance to a deep-seated psychological phenomenon. At the core of this reluctance to embrace change lies a profound and often subconscious apprehension of the unknown, a fear of venturing beyond the perceived safety and comfort of familiar routines and circumstances. He suggests that this fear of the unfamiliar can exert a powerful paralyzing effect, preventing individuals from taking the necessary steps to improve their situations, even when their current circumstances are unsatisfactory. He then expresses a degree of empathy for those who find themselves trapped in the cycle of inaction. It is indeed a regrettable irony to witness individuals possessing considerable potential for achievement, yet failing to realize their aspiration due to the self-imposed constraint of fear. He acknowledges the genuine anxieties and dilemmas associated with making significant life transitions. However, Rockefeller's primary emphasis remains on the importance of overcoming this inertia through proactive engagement with life's opportunities and challenges. He contrasts the passive approach with the active mindset he champions, stating, while acknowledging the universality of the anxieties that accompany pivotal decisions, "I contend that truly successful individuals are distinguished by their capacity to summon a resolute determination to proactively explore diverse avenues for fulfilling their ambitions, and to cultivate the courage necessary to navigate the inherent uncertainties and overcome any perceived obstacles." Rockefeller then sharply critiques the tendency towards passivity and reliance on external forces that he observes in many people. He argues that a significant portion of the population exhibits a counterproductive passivity, characterized by a proclivity for excessive verbalization without corresponding action, and, in its most extreme form, a complete absence of meaningful activity. He further criticizes their tendency to engage in elaborate rationalizations and the construction of complex justifications to delay or avoid action, ultimately leading to the self-fulfilling prophecy that the intended undertaking was either ill-advised, impossible, or simply too late to pursue. He contrasts this approach with his own philosophy of proactive engagement, stating, "In contrast to this passive and reactive stance, my own approach to life and business has been characterized by a more proactive and assertive engagement with opportunities and challenges." He references a positive assessment of his character, noting that an associate, Mr. Gates, aptly described me as an individual driven by a strong inclination towards active and spontaneous initiative, a characterization that Rockefeller affirms as accurate. He then reiterated the fundamental connection between action and achievement. "My conviction is that tangible results are invariably predicated upon purposeful action, and that no significant accomplishment in any sphere of life can be attained through mere contemplation or abstract thought. The very essence of human existence necessitates a proactive engagement with the world. Therefore, the choice to act decisively is not merely advisable, but rather fundamentally imperative." Rockefeller delves further into the crucial role of prioritization and focused action in achieving success, addressing the common human experience of feeling overwhelmed by competing demands. He begins by acknowledging the pervasive challenge of time management, stating that a significant source of difficulty in navigating life arises from the perception of an excessive volume of responsibilities juxtaposed with the inherent limitations of time. This sentiment reflects the increasing complexity of work and life in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a period marked by rapid industrialization and accelerating societal changes. He then explores the counterproductive nature of dwelling on unfulfilled tasks, arguing that the mere contemplation of plans that remain unimplemented can induce a sense of paralysis and ultimately impede any meaningful progress. This observation aligns with psychological principles that highlight the detrimental effects of rumination and the importance of breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable units to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Rockefeller proceeds to emphasize the critical distinction between mere activity and strategic productivity. He asserts that it is imperative to recognize that not all actions are created equal in their potential to yield valuable outcomes, and that a discerning approach is required to maximize the effectiveness of one's efforts. This perspective echoes the concept of efficiency, a key principle in the scientific management movement, which gained prominence during Rockefeller's time. Though his focus here is more on strategic selection than on the micromanagement of tasks, he advocates for a deliberate allocation of resources, stating that individuals seeking optimal results should prioritize those tasks and responsibilities that demonstrate the greatest potential for contributing to long-term goals and strategic objectives, while consciously minimizing engagement in activities that offer only marginal returns. This approach to resource allocation, emphasizing the strategic importance of focusing on high-impact activities, is a principle that resonates with modern-day productivity methodologies. To illustrate the necessity of breaking down complex undertakings into manageable components, Rockefeller employs a vivid and relatable analogy: the successful completion of any substantial endeavor is best achieved through a methodical process of incremental advancement, akin to consuming a large meal one small portion at a time. He cautions against a counterproductive attempt to accomplish all objectives simultaneously, arguing that such an approach is likely to lead to a diffusion of effort and ultimately, the squandering of opportunities for meaningful progress. Rockefeller concludes this section by reiterating his critique of passivity and indecision, framing it as a major obstacle to achieving one's aspiration. He asserts that a significant barrier to effective action lies in the human tendency towards procrastination in a preference for inaction, often manifested as a desire to postpone engagement until all conceivable conditions are perceived to be perfectly aligned. He argues that this pursuit of an idealized and often unattainable state of readiness is ultimately self-defeating, as life's realities rarely present themselves in a context of absolute certainty or complete freedom from risk. He advocates for a more pragmatic and decisive approach, stating that the most prudent and effective course of action typically involves embracing the inherent compromises and imperfections of real-world situations, recognizing that the present moment often offers the most viable opportunity for initiating progress, thereby avoiding the paralysis of endless deliberation and the ultimate failure to act. Rockefeller went on by reaffirming his core belief in the power of individual initiative and self-determination. Ultimately, the capacity to exert a measure of control over one's circumstances and to effectively shape one's destiny rests primarily upon the individual's willingness to embrace proactive engagement and to cultivate a resolute commitment to purposeful action. This final assertion reinforces his emphasis on personal responsibility and the agency of the individual in navigating the complexities of life and achieving success. Rockefeller delves further into the crucial dynamic between aspiration and action, challenging the sufficiency of mere desire and emphasizing the necessity of practical implementation. He begins by addressing the common human tendency to conflate wishing with achieving, stating that the simple articulation of desires, even when expressed with great intensity, should not be equated with the assured attainment of those desires. He argues against a passive approach to goal pursuit, suggesting that the world operates on principles of cause and effect, where outcomes are generally proportional to the effort exerted. To illustrate this point, he employs a colloquial analogy, stating, the expectation that one can acquire significant possessions or achieve substantial accomplishments with the same ease and minimally afford as a trivial purchase is a fundamental misconception. This analogy serves to highlight the disparity between the relative ease of wishing and the substantial effort required to turn those wishes into reality, a concept that aligns with the emphasis on hard work and industry prevalent in the 19th century American ethos. Rockefeller then outlines a sequential framework for realizing aspiration, emphasizing the crucial role of action within this process. He delineates a three-stage progression. The journey towards achieving any desired outcome typically unfolds in a structured sequence, beginning with the initial genesis of an idea, followed by a phase of meticulous preparation and strategic planning, and culminating in the decisive and consistent execution of those plans through purposeful action. He stresses that while the initial stages of ideation and planning are essential, they are ultimately subordinate to the critical third stage of implementation. He further emphasized the relative scarcity and consequent high value of individuals who possess both vision and the capacity for effective execution. While the world is replete with individuals capable of generating innovative concepts and formulating ambitious plans, he observes, those who demonstrate the rare ability to translate these ideas into tangible results through effective implementation are considerably more valuable, possessing a skill set that transcends mere theoretical understanding. He underscores the transformative power of execution, stating that it is the capacity for decisive and sustained action that distinguishes those who merely contemplate potential achievements from those who actively shape their realities and leave a lasting impact. This perspective reflects a pragmatic approach to success, prioritizing the ability to bring ideas to fruition over the sole possession of those ideas. It highlights the importance of practical skills, project management, and the ability to navigate the complexities of implementation, qualities that were highly valued in the rapidly industrializing American society of Rockefeller's time. Rockefeller continues his exploration of the factors that contribute to or hinder an individual's success, focusing on the crucial role of personal agency, the detrimental effects of passivity. He begins by addressing the pervasive human tendency to resist change and cling to the familiar, stating that a significant impediment to individual progress lies in the inclination towards inertia and the reluctance to deviate from established patterns of behavior. He characterizes this resistance as a pervasive habit, one that he considers both deceptive and ultimately self-destructive. His reasoning for this assessment is rooted in a philosophical understanding of the nature of existence. Rockefeller observes that the fundamental characteristic of the universe, and indeed of human existence itself, is its inherent dynamism and constant state of transformation. Just as life is characterized by birth, growth, and eventual mortality, The world around us is in a perpetual state of flux, where nothing remains static or immutable. This observation aligns with the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who famously articulated the concept of pandaria, or everything flows. Emphasizing the ceaseless change that governs all phenomena, Rockefeller argues that this inherent dynamism renders resistance to change not only futile but also detrimental to an individual's capacity for adaptation and growth. He attributes this resistance to a deep-seated psychological phenomenon. At the core of this reluctance to embrace change lies a profound and often subconscious apprehension of the unknown, a fear of venturing beyond the perceived safety and comfort of familiar routines and circumstances. He suggests that this fear of the unfamiliar can exert a powerful paralyzing effect, inhibiting individuals from taking the necessary steps to improve their situations and realize their full potential. He then expresses a degree of empathy for those who find themselves trapped in the cycle of inaction and stagnation. It is indeed a regrettable irony to observe individuals possessing considerable potential for achievement, yet failing to actualize their aspiration due to the self-imposed constraint of fear and inertia. He acknowledges the genuine anxieties and internal conflicts that often accompany the prospect of making significant life transitions or embarking on new endeavors. However, Rockefeller's primary emphasis remains on the importance of cultivating a proactive and decisive approach to life's opportunities and challenges. He contrasts the passive approach with the active mindset he champions, stating, while acknowledging the universality of the anxieties that inevitably accompany pivotal decisions, I contend that truly successful individuals are distinguished by their capacity to summon a resolute determination, to proactively explore diverse avenues for fulfilling their ambitions, and to cultivate the courage necessary to navigate the inherent uncertainties and overcome any perceived obstacles. Rockefeller then offers a sharp critique of the passivity he observes in many people, particularly their reliance on external forces to shape their destinies. He posits that they were often reluctant to take initiative, stating that a significant portion of the population exhibits a counterproductive passivity, characterized by a proclivity for excessive verbalization without commensurate action, and, in its most extreme form, a complete absence of meaningful engagement with the world around them. He further criticizes their tendency to engage in elaborate rationalizations and the construction of complex justifications to delay or avoid taking action, ultimately leading to the self-defeating demonstration that the intended undertaking was either ill-advised, impossible, or simply too late to pursue. He contrasts this passive and reactive stance with his own proactive philosophy, stating, in contrast to this tendency towards inaction, my own approach to life and business has been consistently characterized by a proactive and assertive engagement with opportunities and challenges. He references a positive assessment of his character, noting that an associate, Mr. Gates, aptly described me as an individual driven by a strong inclination towards active and spontaneous initiative, a characterization that Rockefeller readily affirms as accurate. He concludes this section of the letter by reiterating the fundamental connection between action and the attainment of desired outcomes. My unwavering conviction is that tangible results are invariably predicated upon purposeful action, and that no significant accomplishment in any sphere of life can be attained through mere contemplation or abstract thought. The very essence of human existence necessitates a proactive engagement with the world. Therefore, the choice to act decisively is not merely advisable, but rather fundamentally imperative. This final statement serves as a powerful call to embrace personal agency and reject the limitations of passivity, emphasizing the necessity of taking ownership of one's life and actively shaping one's future. Rockefeller's Letter 4, with its strong emphasis on action, initiative, and overcoming inertia, holds significant relevance in today's world. His principles, though rooted in the industrial era, translate remarkably well to the complexities of the 21st century. Rockefeller's emphasis on action over analysis and the dangers of procrastination are incredibly pertinent in the modern business landscape. In today's dynamic markets, characterized by rapid technological advancement and fierce competition, businesses cannot afford to be passive or overly cautious. The analysis paralysis that Rockefeller warns against can be fatal to companies that fail to adapt and innovate quickly. His focus on the importance of initiative and taking ownership is also crucial. In contemporary business, where teamwork and collaboration are essential, individuals who demonstrate proactive problem-solving, identify opportunities, and drive projects forward are highly valued. Such behavior is particularly relevant in agile and lean methodologies, which emphasize iterative development and continuous improvement. Examples in entrepreneurship, career development, and personal finance. The startup world is a prime example of where Rockefeller's emphasis on action is essential. Entrepreneurs often face uncertainty and limited resources. Those who succeed are typically not those with the perfect plan, but those who take action, learn from their mistakes, and adapt quickly. The fail fast, fail often philosophy prevalent in Silicon Valley reflects this principle of action-oriented learning. In today's job market, career advancement often depends on demonstrating initiative. Employees who proactively seek new projects, identify areas for improvement, and take ownership of their professional development are more likely to stand out. Waiting for instructions or being passive can lead to stagnation. Even in personal finance, the principle of action applies. While planning is important, individuals who actively save, invest, and manage their finances are more likely to achieve financial security compared to those who procrastinate or avoid taking action due to fear or uncertainty. The digital age, with its constant disruption and abundance of information, actually amplifies the importance of Rockefeller's emphasis on action. The sheer volume of information available can lead to analysis paralysis. Rockefeller's advice to stop daydreaming and start doing it now is vital for navigating this overload. The digital landscape is constantly changing. Businesses and individuals need to be agile and willing to adapt. Such an attitude requires a bias towards action, a willingness to experiment, and the ability to learn quickly from both successes and failures. The digital age presents countless opportunities for those who take initiative. Building an online business, creating content, or developing new digital skills all require a proactive and action-oriented approach. Elon Musk, while controversial, Musk embodies a relentless drive for action. He often launches ambitious projects, even with significant risks and uncertainties, and iterates rapidly. His approach, while sometimes criticized, reflects a strong emphasis on doing over waiting for perfection. In essence, Rockefeller's letter serves as a timeless reminder that while knowledge and planning have their place, it is ultimately action that drives progress, creates opportunities, and shapes our destinies. This message is arguably even more relevant in the fast-paced, ever-changing world we inhabit today. Rockefeller argues that action solves everything. Do you agree with this statement? Are there situations where excessive action can be detrimental? He contrasts those who do with those who procrastinate. What are your personal strategies for overcoming procrastination and taking action on your goals? Rockefeller emphasizes the importance of knowing your goals and resources. How do you approach the process of identifying your goals and assessing your available resources? He uses the analogy of golf to illustrate the need for sequential action. Can you think of other analogies that effectively represent the importance of taking action and achieving success? Rockefeller seems to downplay the role of luck, focusing primarily on action. How do you balance the importance of personal agency with the influence of external factors or chance in achieving success? In the digital age, where information is readily available, is there a risk of overthinking and underacting? How can we effectively balance planning and execution in a fast-paced environment? What is the most significant takeaway from Rockefeller's letter for you personally? How can you apply his emphasis on action to your life or career? Thank you for joining our exploration of Rockefeller's powerful message on the necessity of action in Letter 4. We value your participation and would love to hear your thoughts. What are your answers to the reflection questions? Share your experiences and insights in the comments section below. Have you faced challenges with procrastination or taking action? What strategies have worked for you? If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Your support is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue our journey through Rockefeller's wisdom and gain further insights from his letters. In our next video, we'll be moving on to Letter 5, where we'll delve into a new set of principles and explore the importance of competitiveness. We look forward to seeing you there.